magic is organic, it's natural. You know, it's again, let's go back to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Sauron and his henchmen, Saruman, the wizard, they are, for people who are familiar with the book, they are the sorcerers.
Yeah.
Whereas Gandalf and Radagast, you see, and the, the Elven kings, Elrond and people like this, they are the magicians.
Yeah.
They bring forth magic because they have a totally different way of dealing with you. They're not dealing with you as an ego. Just like an animal, no animal deals with you as an ego. Animals always relate to us as a self, which is why people say they like to be around animals.
Yeah.
But the sorcerer, he wants to block that magic from flowing. And we now have such people in power all over the world. And the one reason why, one of the reasons why we promote these people is, remember last week or the last time we were talking about the branches of guilt, and one of them is we defend the lie that we're living.
Yeah, sure.
Denial connects to denial and defense. Well, listen, what do these guys do? These politicians do that for the whole race.
Yeah.
You're doing it in your own head, and then they go, we're going to defend the whole way of life. America's corporate, super destructive, tyrannous, narcissistic world. Gee, this is the greatest thing. We got to defend it from those mad Easterners, those turban-wearing freaks.
Yeah.
We're going to come in and take it all away. And every culture, the Muslims are believing, don't come in and take away our little story.
Yeah.
See, so we have defense now, and the stronger the person is that says we're going to come in and defend all this rubbish that you own, this is what we also then vote for. You know, I said in one of the DVDs that there's a very important word for people to remember, and it's the word iatrogenic. I-A-T-R-O-G-A-N-I-C, iatrogenic, or iatrogenic, and they can look it up in a dictionary, and it means the sickness and disease that is caused by doctors or members of any kind of establishment or institution.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it's pretty much willful. Like, for instance, when a doctor does some malpractice, that's an iatrogenic act.
Yeah.
We have politicians, we have media who are operating on this iatrogenic, strategy, in which they literally disseminate poisons and diseases, and they're dealing with us subliminally in order to keep us in the super arrested state. And then we do the rest. In our sickness, as we think we are going to fall and lose our balance, we rely on the braces that they offer us. This is connected to rising crime. I mean, when you feel yourself so socially impotent, one of the other ways is acting out. See, there's a dark side of this as well, Henrik, that's becoming more and more apparent, is that the impotent person who feels that he's just got no power in this world, that his whole sense of self has been taken away, and he's got Big Brother over his head, and everyone else seems so powerful. There's another reaction to that, which means that you can act out. And that means, the psychopathic reaction in which people go out and commit crimes and do murders in order to feel a kind of empowerment. Yeah, and then we turn around and blame them and lock them up. Okay, I guess, that's never going to change.
Yeah.
But is anyone looking at the reason as to why a human being who's, has a really even a good side in many ways would want to go out and do these heinous acts and then, end up in an 8.5-foot cell for the rest of their lives? Why do people do that?
Yeah.
So this psychology, this feeling that people don't want to give their power away, then they say, but I must feel powerful. Society denies me doing it. Okay, let me go around and murder somebody, murder people and break windows and, be in gangs, because human beings are being denied a true sense of empowerment, so they're going to find it in these, illegitimate ways.
Yeah. I mean, and also, of course, we can say, because time and time again, a lot of, stuff like corruption and this is being exposed, and we can see time and time again, how our leaders and businessmen at the top, constantly are, using their positions to gain, their personal wealth or whatever. But many times people again and again return to the idea that, we need a strong leader and we need to, follow this guy or that guy or whatever. Yeah. So that might also connect with this then. So
it absolutely does.
Yeah.
The human being who's looking for self, he doesn't require any of that. He may admire true strength. He may admire sporting prowess. Somebody who's athletic or whatever, you can admire it, but you don't then you give your whole self to it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Ayn Rand saying she doesn't believe in altruism, which also I do not believe. But she said that doesn't mean that you don't help others.
Yeah, exactly.
If you see somebody in desperate need, you must help.
Yeah.
But you don't lay your life down to help those people. You don't lose something infinitely precious, you don't try to lose your life to help another person cross the road.
Yeah.
That's altruism. So we have to have things in balance. You can admire strength. You can cultivate strength. You can be strong. My message is not a message of meekness and weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways we can go here. We just have about 5 minutes left here before the hour is up. But is there something specific you'd like to dive into these last few minutes here, Michael?
Well, just that there's a lot of when we're talking basically about the outsider, that is the key thing that you have to remember is that the outsider is a person who I believe has what I would call a moral superiority. From my blog and from so many interactions that I have with people, I see this outsider streak in them. And what I realize is that a lot of their suffering, like we talked last time, is coming from their empathy, natural empathy to those who are in a terrible, dumbed down state.
Yeah.
But what's the good of the outsider killing himself with this empathy so he can't move? He can't create because he's just so empathic with other people's suffering that he renders himself, it's another kind of impotency. So the message I try to get across to people who are, fighting with these different kinds of concepts and trying to understand this is that, look, have your empathy, see it for what it is, but don't get, too strung out over that. You have to realize what is going on in your life. It's the Hamlet complex.
Yeah.
You are a morally and spiritually superior person. People don't like to use that word superior anymore, except when there's a material, value in it. If you're a kid at 5 years of age is drawing beautiful, fantastic pictures, you'll soon accept that child, or if he's playing piano wonderfully, or if he's a chess prodigy, we immediately accept, because now media fame will be involved and money will be involved. Now the kid's a genius. He's intellectually superior. Then nobody has a problem accepting it, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, we know this. How come then that human beings, when you talk about moral superiority or spiritual superiority, go, oh, but you can't talk about that. Everybody's meant to be equal.
Exactly.
So we have this other voice that's coming in that's very, very pernicious. And in the road to tomorrow, the road to the future, the outsider, my message to the outsider is realize, don't be proud of it. Don't, get into ego over it, but realize that you are a morally superior person. And this is going to cause you an enormous pain. But look at the bright side of it. If you can see the problems that are happening in the world, it means that you're turned on. You can see it. You're not part of that problem.
Yeah.
And when you realize that there is a moral aristocracy, and that just like Hamlet, if you are hanging around people that are deeply vampiristic and deeply immoral and deeply corrupt and totally sensationalistic and narcissistic, you will suffer. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
The great masters have said, if you're out of touch with your higher wisdom body and out of touch with your spirit, you will actually suffer. So there is two kinds of suffering. There's the suffering of the person who's dumbed down and lost and the victim of his ego. And the outsider has his particular kind of suffering too. But the difference is, the outsider is a philosopher king. He's like Plato's philosopher king. He's an elite. He's a person who is, marked by the higher force.
Yeah.
And definitely has a purpose in this life. Has a dharma in this life.
And he's a man who has, I guess, also then has kind of created his soul or earned his soul.
Precisely, and he will know that he's earned it.
Yeah.
He hasn't allowed the government or the school system or jump through a bunch of hoops to think he knows a lot of stuff. This is a person who has made his own life. He's actually carved his own statue.
Yeah.
He's come alive of his own hands and formed his own soul, and he knows himself. Yes, there is bitter tears along that Siddhartha road, but there's also the greatest joys as well.
Do you, Michael, at all tie reincarnation into this? Is this a recurring thing that we can work on through lifetimes? Do you think that?
I try not to get into too much of the metaphysics.
Yeah.
I do have tremendous ideas about these, but in my public work, I try to avoid too much abstractia because we have a culture of escapism. And remember, we talked about escapism as being one of the branches of the tree of the guilt complex.
Sure, yeah.
So, I got some fantastic ideas. I have some very radical ideas about reincarnation. I don't totally buy into it as the way the world is, but, it is a fascinating concept. It should be studied and thought about. It may have tremendous significance. The way I look at it is that There is no such thing as a future or a past. You know, my philosophy is that people are living as ghosts or aliens. When you live in the past and you give the past all your energy, then you're living like a ghost.
Yeah.
If you're a future person and everything about your life is about the future, then you're like living like some alien, some sort of sci-fi creature that just lives in this, super progressive world, which also doesn't exist. So the man of truth, the man who's finding himself, is a natural human being who must live in the now.
Yeah.
And in the now is the birth of tomorrow. All tomorrows are seated in what people do now. I keep getting these, comments from people where they're saying, "What about tomorrow? What about tomorrow?"
Yeah.
What about tomorrow? Forget tomorrow. It's all linked in this moment now. This is when you're incarnating, right this minute.
Yeah.
And, the message is try to keep your mind and your consciousness and your senses as fresh and as clean and as spontaneous and as mutable as possible, because if you're constantly demanding stimuli and experience to be fresh and new, then you're going to be very sadly disappointed by the time you reach 30. The man who's ever young is dying all the time. He's renewing and resurrecting his mind every day. The mind is what needs to be kept fresh and new, not experience.
Very interesting. Michael, we are totally out of time, but in the last minute or so, tell everyone about, your excellent DVD series and how they can get it, and also, of course, again, about your website. Okay,
we have a navigation website that helps you to get to all the sites that I have, because I got about 7 websites. So if you go to michaeltsarion.com, just my name, michaeltsarion.com, you'll be able to access from that site all the other ones. The DVDs are available on their own website, which is originsandoracles.com. But, there's tons of free web stream out there. I have a blog, which people can get to through michaeltsarion.com. And on the blog, you'll see the calendar and also what's new. And if you go to what's new, then you'll see all the different interviews and web streams, all the free material that we have, for people to get a total fix on what we're saying. So because these are subjects that are very large, very interesting, but, it takes time to really digest them properly.
Yeah.
A lot of my work approaches these subjects in a kind of a different way, so I cross over a lot of different subject matter.
Absolutely.
And that can be kind of new for people. So, go and watch the videos, go and listen to the interviews, and get a grip on this and use that. And then, check out the DVDs.
Yeah, originsandoracles.com is an excellent DVD series, and it's totally amazing. You gotta get yourself a DVD from that. And again, Michael, let's continue this next month. There were a few things we didn't get to here today, but let's continue on this theme. And again, I'm looking forward very much to next month.
Right, and then we have some interviews on the subscriber area over at ICE, right?
Absolutely, yeah, sure. We got a new we put it up, I guess, last Sunday, I think, on technology and transhumanism and a lot more, and hopefully we can do a few more of those also. So again, I'm looking forward to that very much.
Yeah, those are great projects. Thank you. We'll do it again.
Will do. Thank you very much, Michael.
Okay. Bye-bye.
We are going to continue our talk with Michael now in the subscriber section. We are going to begin to talk about theosophy and Helena Blavatsky, and we'll also get into talking about the hijacking of cults, organizations, and secret and not so secret societies. Very interesting stuff with Michael Tsarion for our subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, do consider signing up with us. You'll get full access to our growing archive, and at the same time you'll help and support the radio show and the website so we can keep going. Thank you all for listening to the show, and thanks for your emails and comments. We try to answer as much of it as we can. Also, thanks to Fredrik Palmgren behind the controls. We will be back this Sunday with a new show for you. This is Henrik Palmgren. Take care.
And where are we going?
Welcome. This is Red Eyes